Hello, and welcome to the public engagement for the proposed housing development land west of Mill Lane in Marston Village, Oxford. This accompanying video aims to inform you about the development with the hopes of easing any concerns or answering any questions that you may have prior to the virtual public consultation. The reason why the public consultation is taking place virtually instead of the usual face-to-face forum is to ensure the safety of the public in light of the ongoing coronavirus outbreak. The public will have until the 12th of November to comment on the proposed housing development via the feedback and questionnaire section of the Oxford City Council webpage. We will also be hosting two Q&A Zoom sessions on the 3rd of November, one at 11 AM and the second at 5:30 PM, but you will need to register for these sessions via the link in the video description. So let's move on with the presentation. Firstly, this site forms part of the adopted Oxford City Council Local Plan 2036 and is therefore allocated for development, in this case residential development, as Oxford is in need of new homes. The site is located north of the Old Marston Conservation Area, a distinctive area of rural village architecture and green public open space, which has provided a lot of inspiration for the housing development. In order to create a successful housing development on this site, it was important for the design team to fully understand and analyse the site and its surrounding area. The site, shown in red, has a number of different factors to take into consideration. Located next to greenbelt land, it is of great importance for the housing development to not interrupt the trees and hedges that surround the site, so these are to be retained where possible. The western views of the site overlooking the rural farmland and River Cherwell in the distance are to be celebrated. The A40 Northern Bypass dual carriageway runs just to the north of the site. However, there is no access point here. The yellow dotted route shows the existing public right-of-way network that the site could link to, creating further free movement for pedestrians. In blue, to the north and to the south of the proposed housing development, are two sites that are also being proposed for residential development. The design of our site takes into consideration the designs of these neighbouring sites so that they can sit harmoniously with each other. The following images will show how the design of the master plan have been organised so far. The design has been evolved over the past year through a series of discussions with Oxford City Council. Image 1. Along the western boundary of the site we have located a new open green space that offers a place for all to use. Housing, shown in purple, provides natural surveillance to this area as well as maximising the views of the neighbouring farmland. In terms of access, the red arrows show the main site entrance from an existing gap in the hedgerow along Mill Lane. The blue arrows show various new pedestrian and cycle connections to neighbouring land, and the pink arrows show maintained agricultural vehicle access to the farmland. Image 2. The large green arrow represents a new landscape link between the main access along Mill Lane and the green open space, which will mature over time. The green dashed line along the western boundary represents a new landscape buffer that will incorporate the planting of local species of vegetation. Image 3. The pink blocks look to create strong defensible edges. The largest one looks to connect with the existing housing block of Mill Lane in order to help blend the proposed housing in with the local residential area. Image 4. In the north of the site, the layout is separated into smaller housing blocks that have winding shared surface lanes running through, wide enough for pedestrians and cyclists to use safely. Collectively, these blocks of houses look to create strong frontages and provide suitable levels of natural surveillance onto the public areas of the development. The apartment block, shown in orange, will be dual aspect, having a strong presence to Mill Lane to the east, and will have balconies and terraces looking onto the shared surface street to the west. Image 4. Throughout the housing development, Dwellings are placed strategically to act as destination points. Both the winding and straight sections of the road create views of particular houses. Shown in green, it is proposed that these houses will have a different external material to emphasize their importance. With all these principles in place, that leads us to our proposed master plan. 79 new homes will be on this site, with 50% being provided as social rent and other affordable tenures. The remaining 39 homes will be offered for private sale. There are a good mix of 1, 2, 3 and 4 bed homes that offer private front and rear gardens, as well as designated cycle and vehicle parking. The master plan looks to create a safe and secure neighbourhood where the use of external green spaces and wide shared surfaced roads are celebrated and people can socialise in. Along with the houses, the landscaping within the site is of equal importance. One of the things noted from visiting Old Marston is the key role in which trees and vegetation play within the village. Native trees and planting varieties are to be used so that the site is appropriately in keeping with the local context and natural habitat for local wildlife. The new green open space will be accompanied by incidental play features so that children of all ages can engage in active play and interact with nature. An attenuation pond in the green open space will provide natural habitat for wildlife, as well as dealing with any flood issues that the site and local area may rarely encounter. And finally, the design of the site will look to use materials and boundary treatments inspired by the nearby conservation area, such as hedgerows and stone walls. These are a common feature within the village, to which we look to replicate in this housing development. The housing design has been inspired by the historical housing found within the Old Marston Conservation Area. The proposed housing takes on a more modern approach but respects the use of local features and materials. For reference, we have noted the source of the images on the right-hand side so that local residents may pick up on the location of our source of inspiration. Red tiled roofs are found within Old Marston, many of which have simple traditional detailing. Many of the houses in the conservation area have sill and header window details that are usually stone or timber. The proposed development looks to use a white stone to subtly offset from the light buff brick colour. The covered front doorways are a new feature that look to provide shelter for people as they enter their homes. Stone boundary walls are a common local feature of varying height. They are good for determining public and private spaces along main roads and lanes. Dormer windows are a notable roofline feature throughout Old Marston, many of which have pitched roofs to them. However, the proposed design looks to take a slightly more modern boxed approach. Horizontal timber weatherboard cladding can be seen on a number of properties throughout Old Marston Village. Historically, it was used on agricultural buildings, which the design team see as a fitting ode to the site's neighbouring farms and farmland. This material would only be used on what we consider to be the key buildings within the development. A lot of the older buildings within Old Marston have been constructed with locally sourced light stone. This development looks to pay homage to this in a modern way by using a suitable light buff brick to the proposed housing. Window styles throughout Old Marston vary slightly, but the more historical buildings have a more common theme of narrow window panes. The proposed design looks to create a modern response to this. On this slide, we have a collection of street scenes that represent what some of the streets could look like. With this, we have looked at creating a strong varying mix of different size houses and materials throughout the development. The terraces and blocks of housing look to reflect the historical clustering of houses and cottages found within the Old Marston Conservation Area. The varying roof heights and use of materials aim to break up long runs of the same type of housing, providing a more pleasing aesthetic. The street scenes show the level of landscaping that the development aims to achieve. Old Marston is well known for its rural green spaces and mature vegetation, and our proposal looks to encourage that further. This is so that as time passes and the vegetation and trees mature, the development will have gently fitted in with the local area. These images provide an impression of what the neighbourhood lanes of the development could look like. With the shared surface streets, priority is aimed towards the movement of pedestrians and cyclists, encouraging vehicle users to drive at slower speeds and with extra caution. The use of the dark timber webbing-board cladding looks to provide as destination points throughout the development. Public areas are to be suitably landscaped with hedges and trees that will mature and reinforce Old Marston's green rural nature. The bottom image shows the pedestrian and cyclist access proposed from the future housing development to the north of our site. As you can see, our development has been designed in a manner that looks to make the free movement of people in and out of the site to be as attractive as possible. Part of Oxford City Council's proposed green initiative in their new local plan is to reduce carbon emissions. Oxford propose all new houses must provide a 40% reduction of carbon emissions from current building regulations. These proposed houses look to make a 70% reduction. This is done by the use of eco-friendly building materials such as timber frames, which will be constructed through modular construction methods off-site in a factory and then delivered to site. The houses look to incorporate the use of sustainable features, the choice of which are currently being developed, but could include air source heat pumps or waste water heat recovery systems that will help further reduce occupants' energy bills. The use of PV panels will also look to generate electricity for the homes and will be positioned on the pitched roofs of the homes. That concludes the presentation. We would like to thank you for taking the time to view this and hope that we have clarified some of the questions you may have about the proposed housing development. If you have any further questions or would like to express your views further, then please register to one of the 2 online Q&A sessions we are holding via Zoom. The link to the registration can be found on the web page provided and in the description of this YouTube video. Thank you for watching.